Wait, Francis, is this not being posted on the CNH YouTube channel?
No. Since Jonathan said I should be CNH YouTube channel. No.
Does anyone else hear an echo of our voices like a few seconds later?
That
Is that
might
coming from someone's
because you haven't
speakers?
muted the actual link because we just went live.
Oh, I don't have the link open. It's from the call. I think it's from someone's speakers, but I don't know.
I'm wearing headphones. Is everyone like muted? Oh, I should hide this.
So everything looks fine, and yeah.
Cool.
Do you guys want to post the link right now, or wait till exactly 9?
If we post it now, someone should send me like a list of jokes so that we're not boring.
Wait, send you what?
Oh, just kidding. Send me at 9. Oh, I said jokes. So we can do like 10 minutes of entertaining. Maybe 7 minutes.
Okay. Alexandra, can you click on your presentation so the Windows bar on the bottom goes away? Yeah.
Wait, does this mean I can't go? Oh. I can't. Ugh. Oh my god, there's 46 people. Hello. I don't know how to make the comments any bigger. I can barely see the comments. Yeah, I'm gonna wait. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. We're gonna wait. I feel like there's a lot of people, so maybe like 3 minutes, and then we'll start. Does that sound good?
Lovely weather we've been having today.
Caitlin says we have to hype up the crowd.
Everyone, before the webinar officially starts, I would just like you to like, comment, and subscribe for more webinars in the future. Go do that.
Yeah, it's been about 4 minutes since we were supposed to start. So once the committee gives the okay, I think we can start. Yeah. Okay, so welcome everyone to the Master Record Sheet / Membership Recognition Program webinar. We are the 2018-2019 Member Recognition Committee. So if you have any questions, we do have a Q&A Google form on our Facebook page if you haven't seen already, or when we get to the Q&A section, you can post any questions that you have in the YouTube slide link, and we'll be trying to keep track of that as we're going, but we might miss a few, so I apologize for that in advance. There will be a sign-in form at the end of the webinar, so be sure that you stay until the end of the presentation so you can get credit for attending. So we're going to go ahead and start introducing all of your presenters. I'm Alexandra. I am a 4th year from UC San Diego, and I am the Administrative Executive Assistant.
Hello, my name is Bruce Gaznaz. I am a incoming fourth year at Cal State Fullerton, and I am your Southern representative.
Hello, my name is Amanda Liao. I'm a fourth year at Pasadena City College, and I am your Central representative.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Sandoval. I'm a third year at Sac State, and I'm your Northern representative.
Hello, my name is Matthew Kim. I am a second year at Los Angeles Pierce College, and I am your MRP and MRS coordinator.
Now, on to our first topic. It is going to be the Membership Recognition Program. So it's also known as MRP for short. And what the MRP program is that it is a district-wide recognition program that inspires members to excel in our three tenets: service, which is an act done to better the community without receiving incentives in return; leadership, where members are able to sharpen their professional skills; and fellowship, where members are able to bond with one another. So members are recognized at a district level during fall training conference and district convention. If you don't know what they are, it is filled of workshop, fun, and recognizing members, and you get to spend it with all of CNH. This is a great opportunity for any members to represent their home club and division on a district level because of the recognition and also talent shows as well. And hours that are recorded are from March 1st to February 28th, and the reason is because it is how the timeline of the term starts and when it ends. So it always starts on March 1st and it always ends on February 28th. And then moving on to the next slide, which is MRP and the changes that we made this term. So a few changes that we made is one of the removal of the Circle K tag. The reason why it was removed was because it was very similar to the interclub tag, and it was consisted of just the Circle K members in attendance. And another change that we made was the addition of the Alumni Tag. An alumni is someone who is or was part of Circle K and graduated from a college or university. However, they are no longer a dues paid member of Circle K. And the reason why we decided to add this tag is so that we can encourage more alumni to attend Circle K events. And other changes we made are related to MD&E, so attending one more MD&E events per tier, as well as increasing the webinar attendance by 1.
All right, now moving on to the member recognition program and the standard requirements. So first to start off is that you're required to be a dues paid member. And then another requirement is that each tier requires a different amount of service hours. For example, if your goal is to aim for the bronze tier, you're required to have 50 service hours. If you're aiming for silver tier, you're required 80 service hours. For gold, it's 130 service hours, and for platinum, it's 200. All right, and then now moving on to the additional requirements. After paying dues and reaching a certain amount of service hours, there are a total of 14 additional requirements on top of the standard requirements. With these additional requirements, you're allowed to pick and choose which ones you'd like to achieve in order to meet MRP requirements. So, for example, if you're aiming for bronze, you'll need at least 5 additional requirements out of the 14 total. For silver, you'll need at least 6. For gold, at least 8, and for platinum, at least 11 of the 14. All right, so now I'm going to be going more in depth as to what the additional requirements are. So what are they? There are 14 in total, and of course, I'll be going over them individually, but if you have any other questions or need clarifying, you can check out the resources that we'll be presenting at the end of this webinar, or you can also feel free to ask us questions using the YouTube chat that you guys are all on. So to start off, we have the socials tag, which is SE. So this is any type of event that fosters fellowship within your club or with other members from the Kiwanis family. The next tag is the membership development Membership Development and Education Tag, which is MD&E. This is any event that helps in the recruitment, retention, development, and education of your members. For example, this applies to tabling or events with workshops. This was also a tag that had its requirements increased. Moving on to the fundraisers tag, FR, this is any event that raises money for either your club or your charitable organization. The next tag is the Alumni Tag, AL, which is any event in which 2 members from your Circle K club and at least 2 alumni are present. Next is the Kiwanis Family Tag, so KF. This is any Kiwanis family event with at least 2 members from your Circle K club and at least 2 members from another non-Circle K Kiwanis family club. So this is either Key Clubbers, Kiwanians, etc. Moving on to the Interclub Tag, IN. This is any event hosted by another Kiwanis family club. So it could be Circle K, Action Club, Builders Club, etc. And if your club has 50 members or less, you'll need to have 2 attending members from your club and 2 from the other club. If you have 51 to 91 members, you'll need to have 3 members from your club and 2 from another club. If you have 91 or more members in your club, you'll need 4 from your club and 2 from your other club. So I know this is definitely a tag that confuses a lot of people. I know myself has asked a lot of questions about it, so be sure to ask if you need any more clarification. Moving on to the Divisional Events Tag, DV. This is any event hosted by your LTG or division leadership team for your division. So this applies to divisional council meetings, divisional socials or service projects, etc. The next tag is the District Events Tag, DE. So this is any in-person event hosted by the district. For example, district convention, fall training conference, spring training conference north or south, etc. And then next we have the International Events Tag, INT, which is an event held throughout all of Circle K International. For example, CKIX, which just happened this summer. Next, I'll be moving on to article and video submissions. So this is basically any article or video that you submit at the club, divisional, district, or international event. And then moving on to the webinar tag. This is a workshop that is broadcasted online on the club, divisional, district, or international level. So this webinar that you're watching right now counts for one of those requirements. Yay! A chaired event is when you're a chair, that means that you're the chair, the contact person for a particular event. So the event chair's duties vary by the club, but they're generally in charge of verifying that the event is planned thoroughly and everything's prepared, or also organizing carpool. The next requirement is hosting a workshop or webinar. So for example, what I'm doing right now. This could be the host, co-host of a workshop, or co-host of a workshop or webinar at a district, divisional, or club hosted level. District workshops include those at like SDC North or South, FTC, DCON, or any other events like that. Workshops on the divisional level can also occur at like DCMs, and then club hosted workshops include ones that can be given at your general meetings, board meetings, etc. And then the last additional requirements is to be a committee member. So this is the involvement in any committee within the club, division, district, or international level. The chair of the committee is also considered to be a member of said committee, and some subcommittees do qualify as well. A subcommittee is basically a committee within a committee. So yeah. All right, now moving on. How are you going to keep your club updated on MRP? So I think that one thing that's really important about MRP is keeping your club educated, hyped for it, and of course updated. So these are some of the ideas that we have for you guys. For one, you can post or present updates on the members or club's progress. For example, one thing that my club, Sac State, does is that every few months we have an MRP update workshop where we basically show the members, oh, here's what tier you reached. So for example, if we have bronze on the screen, we'll have all of the members who have reached bronze with their pictures and letting them know that they've reached that tier so far and how many hours they have left to go. Another idea is to upload the MRS online or like showing your club it during the meeting, just so that the members themselves can see their hours and check it out themselves. Another way to keep your club updated is have member shoutouts or incentives when they hit the next milestone. For example, one thing that I know that another club does is that every time a member hits a certain MRP standing, their club gives them a certificate or candy or a little gift bag just to let them know that they're doing a good job. Another idea is to create accountability partners for those who desire it. For example, if you have people on your board and one of them is aiming for platinum and another board member is aiming for platinum as well, you could let them know that if they want somebody to help them keep them accountable, that they can reach out to each other. And it's kind of like a, oh, you go to this, I'll go to that kind of situation. And then lastly, another idea is to host a club or divisional level workshop or webinar on MRP. This is one thing that our secretary did last year, where he basically did a live representation of what MRP and the MRS was. And he just told us like, oh, here's what you can do. Here are the requirements for it. And hey, here are things that I can do to educate you and hype you up. So of course, there are plenty of ways to keep your club updated on MRP, but these are some of the ideas that we have for you guys. If you guys want any more ideas, feel free to reach out to like your predecessors or other people on your board and just try and get as much help as many ideas as you guys can.
So now we'll be moving on to the master record sheet, also known as the MRS. So what is the MRS and what can it be used for? The MRS is an Excel file that logs down all of your club's data into your members' MRP totals. SERFs and MRFs are incredibly useful in logging down data. SERFs will assist with filling out your members' data, and MRFs will assist in listing down your club's event. But do keep in mind that not all clubs use SERFs, as it is a resource provided by the district for clubs to use should they choose to do so. Clubs, however, are required to use the MRF and MRS as they are turned into the district. In addition, the MRS makes it a lot easier for you to keep track of your members' hours and MRP status with it already being calculated for you. It also allows clubs to be eligible for FTC and Decon awards. Without the MRS, your club would be deemed ineligible for some awards, which would include officer awards. And lastly, it really helps out with applying for awards, which are already so time-consuming. And the tabs are as followed: events, inner clubs, members, and individual members.
All right, and then moving on to our next slide, which is about the event tab. The event tab is the way where the clubs will organize all the events that they've had throughout the term, and this is a tab where you would be able to edit it, and it's the way you provide and keep track of all the different events that every single member from your club goes through. And typically you can copy and paste only the date, event, name, and the tags from the monthly report form. However, we do not recommend you to copy and paste the hours or the members' attendance, simply because there will be formatting issues and then the hours will not reflect accurately.
All right, so now we'll be talking about the Inner Club tab. So new to the 2018-2019 MRS is the addition of the Inner Club tab. Here you'll be able to automatically transfer information from the Events tab to this new tab if it's considered to be an inter-club event. Fill out the the Events tab as you would normally. Then go to the Inner Club tab and click on the button provided. On the Inner Club tab, you will see a button that will say something along the lines of pull events from Event tab or something like that. Click that, and all the events that are relating to Interclub will be transferred over. Once all the information is transferred over, fill out the number of Circle K attendees and what schools they're from, and the number of Kiwanis family members if they are present and their home club. The Inner Club tab is a way for clubs to easily organize their events that would fall under the Inner Club category, which will help them fill out awards in the future, such as the Outstanding Interclub Award. Not only that, but the MRS as a whole is a great way to organize all events that your home club participated in, and allows an easy, organized access to a large amount of information so that you can use it in other forms, such as the MRF and the SERF. So this page right here is pretty much what you will see after you pull all the information from your Events tab to the Interclub tab. when just after you press the button, please remember to fill out the number of Circle K members / club name and the number of Kiwanis family members / club name column for each event, and for each event, yes.
Oh, I think we're gonna do the demo now on the inner club tab. So let me do the presentation really quickly. So it's the same thing as the slide here. So as you can see here, this is the sample MRS file. I put a new interclub event here. It's called the best interclub ever. Make sure you have the interclub tag marked right here. Let's get to the interclubs tab. So see here is a button, pull data from events sheet. So I'm going to click that. And then as you can see, my new event showed up here. And so these 3 rows, they'll fill out on their own because that's directly from the events tab. But everything else here, it will be up to you to fill out this information on your own. So we're going to go back to the presentation.
All right, now we'll be moving on to the Members tab. So the Member tab is used to keep track of all of your members' progress in a very generalized page. It allows for easy navigations for clubs to obtain information about their members and their progress. And here you see the example on the left, which is entirely empty, and on the right is what it should look like when it's filled out. Obviously, by the time you submit your MRS, it's going to have a lot more events than that.
Matthew.
Oh, oops, sorry, my mic was completely muted the whole time. I'm so sorry. So anyway, as I was saying, so this is the individual members tab. The individual members tab allows clubs to keep track of their members in a more detailed fashion. It allows clubs to see what events each of their members went to, the amount of hours the members have completed so far, and the overall progress the members are making throughout the term. So pretty much on the left-hand screenshot you see, this is what the individual members tab would look like if you have a brand new empty MRS. And onto the right screenshot, that's what it would look like as you slowly start having more events filled in and start inputting more information about each of your individual members. All right, so next we're going to be talking about the deadlines of the MRS. The first upcoming deadline is October 5th, 2018 at 11:59 p.m. This deadline will be our first bi-monthly check-in and will be the FTC recognition deadline. The second deadline would be December 5th, 2018 at 11:59 p.m. That would be our second bi-monthly check-in. Third deadline would be February 5th, 2019 at 11:59 p.m., our third bi-monthly check-in. And our fourth and final deadline of the term would be March 2nd, 2019 at 11:59 p.m. As I said, it will be our final bi-monthly check-in, and also it will be the DCON recognition deadline as well. If you want to receive proper timely feedback from the Mrp MRS coordinator, please submit. All submissions should be emailed to the member recognition chair, Caitlin Dutch, at the provided email, member-recognition@cnhcirclek.org by each deadline listed above. Although these are all very important deadlines, the deadlines that the MR committee would like to emphasize the most is the first and the fourth deadline, because those are the deadlines where for FTC and DCON recognition, respectively. So if you do want your clubs and your members to be recognized for the efforts that they've done throughout the term up until those points, please be sure to turn in your MRSs by those deadlines so that you guys can be recognized.
All right, so now we'll be starting on tips for the MRS. So your events will automatically be color-coded once its data has been properly inputted into the MRS, and the colors will correspond to what kind of events they are. So green represents club events, blue represents divisional and district events, and purple represents Kiwanis family events. An example of a Kiwanis family event would be like attending a Kiwanis club meeting, a Key Club DCM, Key Wins DCon, etc. And now here are things to keep in mind. So be sure to start early because the MRS will either be your best friend or your biggest foe this term. Seek help from your counterparts and predecessors. Don't be afraid to ask your board, your club board or DLT for help because it is possible that someone is familiar with the MRS and can answer any questions that you're looking for. Be sure to save your files in several locations. So this would be hard drive, flash drive, and or cloud storage, with that being Google Drive or Dropbox. I personally really recommend using Dropbox and installing the app since you can directly work on the file and it will be saved on the drive. So a scenario of which would be if you're working on the MRS file that is already saved on your desktop and your computer already or suddenly crashes, not all of your data may be saved or the file may end up being corrupted as compared to it being uploaded on a dependable cloud drive. Next, organize your names in alphabetical order by last names. In the case that they are not in alphabetical order or you think that you might have gotten a part mixed up, you can easily just go to the data tab on the top of Excel and sort it from A through Z. Just keep in mind that you may have issues with transferring data from the SURF or MRF, so you may have to manually input data yourself at times. Make sure to work on it often. Set your own deadlines, whether it be alongside the MRF, but be sure to hold yourself accountable for it or have someone hold you accountable for it. Be sure to take breaks if you have a lot of data to input. This is a really time-consuming process, and this will also prevent you from making several mistakes. And lastly, Control S, or if you're an Apple user, Command S will literally save your life, especially on Dropbox.
So for the MRP and the MRS, there are many resources provided on the CNH Circle K website. This slide has direct links to the MRP requirements, as well as the MRS user guide, which are all on the website. And all of these links can be found on the Member Recognition Resources tab, which is located under the Resources tab on the CNH Circle K website. If you need further assistance, make sure to contact the Member Recognition Chair, Caitlin, and or the MRP MRS Coordinator, Matthew. So that was the end of the presentation section of our webinar. We'll now be moving on to the Q&A section. So for this part, I think we have about around like 30 minutes. So we're going to spend the first few minutes answering questions that we got from our Google form. And then after that, we'll be moving on to questions from our YouTube live link. So let me pull that up really quickly. Use my mouse. There you go. Cool. Also, remember to stay until the end, at least until 10 when the webinar is over, because that's when we'll be releasing our sign-in link for the webinar. Okay, so it looks like we have 3 questions from the Google form. So the first question is, how can you motivate members reaching a certain MRP status? Does anyone want to take that on? Okay, well, I can do it. As Jennifer mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different ways that we can motivate members to reach MRP. What I personally did when I was secretary was I created certificates, the club level certificates for my members. So for UCSD, our club mascot is Kroby. So during my term, I had little Kroby certificates for bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and I would hand those out to people as they reach MRP throughout the term at GBMs, and that motivated my members to strive for MRP because they wanted to get the really cute certificates from me. And another thing that I also did was I did this a rising star program thing where if members were kind of close to getting bronze, silver, or gold, I would also list them on our meeting presentations, and then I call them rising stars. And then I also give little sheets saying you're 4 hours away from getting bronze, or you're 3 requirements away. So that also helped them keep tabs on how they were doing in the program. Yeah. Does anyone else want to contribute to that?
Yeah, I would like to add that I believe education is definitely a huge part. When members are educated about the MRP program, then they would know what to look for and how to achieve it. Whereas if they are not as educated, they'll see the chart and they'll think, oh, we have to fulfill all those requirements, when in reality, for certain tiers, you only have to fulfill any of the columns that you choose. And also, rather than thinking of it as just recognition, you can also do it for their club or your division, get that recognition for them on a district level, or sometimes you can also think about it as something that you do to better yourself and the community, and it's just more for intrinsic reward rather than the recognition part.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. So we'll be moving on to the next question now, which is, what defines an alumni? Do they have to be from your club, or can they be from another? And do older Kiwanis members, such as advisors, count?
So the alumni tag, it really goes to any alumni from any club. So for example, I'm from Cal State Fullerton, and say an alumni from UC Irvine were to come to an event of mine at Cal State Fullerton, we would consider them to be a part of alumni. It's not just an alumni pertaining towards your club, your home club, whether it be the club you're currently at or say a community college you were at before, but just an alumni and it's okay entirely. So this would also apply to older Kiwanis members from the past.
Awesome. So the next question is kind of based on that. Will secretaries have to go back into past events before the July district board meeting and figure out which of these events count towards the alumni tag?
No, they do not.
Just to point something out, just to answer the question, no, they do not. The alumni, all the events that count towards the alumni tag will be effective after all events will be considered after the July district board meeting, when the actual tag or the actual proposal was passed.
Okay, so those are all the questions that we had from the Google form. I'm going to take a look at the YouTube link. My computer is being very poopy, so I can't really see the comments section from here. So if someone from the committee could either read them or link them to me, that would be fabulous. Oh, did no one ask questions? I'm so sorry.
So one question that got brought up is Excel counts these up for individual members automatically, right?
What is that referring to?
Can we repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
So there's a question that was mentioned. If there are alumni that are in a Kiwanis club, does that count? And if anyone would like to answer that.
Yes. If there's an alumni that's currently in a Kiwanis club, then they do count as alumni for that college. And also to readdress the previous question about the Excel sheet, yes, they do automatically count within the individual tab, the individual members tab.
Another question is, I'm a chartering president, and it was honestly the first time I've ever heard of the MRS. How far back am I allowed to update the MRS? Like, am I allowed to put in events from the beginning of the term?
So for the MRS, you're gonna be inputting events from the start of when the hours start. So that's gonna be March 1st, 2018.
2019, just to fix that.
No, it should be 2018. Basically, like from the beginning of the term, you should be able to count any events that happened in March. Those should be able to count towards this current term.
Yeah, that was my mistake. I'm sorry.
Another question is, if someone has 200 plus hours, but they only meet 9 of the requirements of Plat, are they still considered Plat?
The answer is no, they are not, because the MRP, it considers requirements as well as the hours. So just because you have the service hours, you also need to fulfill the additional requirements needed in order to fulfill that.
And for Plat, the requirements are 11 of them.
So another question is, what are some of the benefits for reaching certain tiers of MRP? It really depends on the person. MRP is there to motivate members to be more involved in Circle K, so it's really what you make of it.
And some of the benefits of recognition are at FTC and DCON. For example, at DCON, a certificate and a pin, and clubs can also provide their own incentives for members to reach their own tiers. For example, as was mentioned earlier, with the certificates, goodie bags, and shout outs online or at general meetings.
Another question is, would the alumnus have to be from CNH to apply to be eligible for the alumni tag?
As long as the alumni was in Circle K, it should be fine. Another question is, what happens when a club has multiple chairs and you can only put one as the chair?
For that question, do you mean that there are two people or if it's a couple people? Because if it is a couple people, would that be considered as a committee for the event? Or would it be just individual members as chairs?
I'm assuming they mean maybe like two people, like chairing an event.
I think for that, it might be like a chaired event that is chaired by several people, but whoever is really like spearheading the event would receive the tag for that. But if someone else wants to correct me on that, feel free. There's another question asking from the same person earlier. Also, because I'm a chartering president, all of my members paid $0 for dues. How can I distinguish whom is a paid member, or do I only input members that were active?
For that question that Bruce just said, there is a portion in the MRS in the events tab when you're putting in information about who came to the event and whatnot. There's a portion where you can say whether or not that member is paid dues paid or not, and that would be where you can. That's how you can distinguish who a paid member is and who isn't.
Another question is, if you do a workshop for your club but live stream it to the district, does it count as a webinar?
Yes. Yes, it does. If it is live streamed to the district, then it does count as a webinar.
There's another question. What are some examples of committees?
There are various different examples. So one of them would be district committees. So the people who hosted this webinar today were all from the Member Recognition Committee. So that is a district level committee. And those were decided on sometime during the spring, during the new term. There are also committees in the club level. For example, at UCSD, we have an event called Masquerade Ball. And for that event, since that's an event that we host every year, we have a separate committee for that. So that's not something that our officers are responsible for. For another example of a committee is such as divisional committee. Some divisions, they'll have like divisional leadership teams where they have people help them out with hosting events for their whole division. And there are also international committees as well. And I think those were decided sometime over the summer. But every year there are also committee members on the international level of Circle K, and they help out with international duties, depending on what committee they're in or what position they're in.
So there's another question on top of that. Do we give club board members the committee member tag on the MRS?
So
To
to-
answer, go ahead.
Sorry, you can go. Sorry.
All right. To answer that, you can give club board members the committee member tag as long as you, as a board, got together as a committee to organize something. So since you are from Cal State Fullerton, Mike, I know that for end of the year banquet, you the board ends up like forming a committee to organize the banquet, and that would count as a committee member tag, even if it's ad hoc.
And then another question that was asked was, can you count webinars even if your club hosts it and it's only for your club? So yes, the answer is yes. For example, if it's over the summer and people from your club are out of town, you can definitely host a webinar from your club so that other members of your club can attend.
Are there any more questions?
Jacob Wumi asked, can anyone make a committee?
On top of that, he added on, or who can make a committee isn't limited to a board member. And as far as I know, anyone can make a committee, I would say, but as long as it is approved by that club board. So if like they have a really interesting idea that they want to implement, they can pitch it to their club board. And if the club board is alongside with it, then they can kind of, for lack of a better word, sponsor that member. So then that idea they wanted to implement is now under that club, and then from then on, just like recruit people to help that member along with organizing that event, and then that would already be considered as a committee.
Are there any other questions? Or any questions that we may have missed that you would like to repeat?
All questions are good questions.
If there's anything that you want us to clarify, just really quick, now's the opportunity to, if you would like.
There's no such thing as a dumb question. We all start from somewhere, so there's no dumb question. So don't be afraid to ask.
If you have any questions that kind of pertain towards your club, then feel free to ask.
So one question that's being asked right now is, wow, how can I learn more about member recognition? Well, I can give a little answer to that. There are a lot of resources that you can use on the CNH Circle K website that gives you a lot of information about the different ways we recognize the members and officers throughout CNH. And you can also talk to any of us through either email or Facebook Messenger about if you have any more additional questions about how either recognizing a fellow member or officer or how to apply for awards or any of that. So the CNH website or through us directly.
I would say you could even go towards your club board. If you are not a board officer, then if you have a recognition chair, definitely go to them. They might know something. Or you can even go to your DLT about it. They should definitely know something about it as well. So don't be afraid of asking around. I think it's a really good thing to ask around. That way you can get a whole bunch of perspective. So there's another question in the chat. If a person who is attending in a school that does not have a Circle K club and they want to choice the Circle K in a sister school, is it possible? And how can we label them?
For my understanding, at least for the first part of the question, in order to just be a member of a, well, first of all, that's more of a question that you should be asking either your lieutenant governor or your Kiwanis club, which is for a more definite, more accurate answer, because we're mainly dealing with member recognition. But for what I know so far, just to be a little bit of help, in order to be a part of just a Circle K member in general, you have to be at least a part-time student or a full-time student. I'm not too sure the two, but you would have to be a student within the school itself to be part of the Circle K. So there's that at least.
To kind of add on to that, something that I've heard in the past is having a satellite club. I don't exactly know the details about it. I would say definitely go to someone who might. As far as I know, way before Fullerton Junior College used to be an active Circle K club, and I think when they were no longer active, some members would be a part of Cal State Fullerton's club. Like I said, this is just what I roughly remember from being informed of the term satellite club, but definitely ask someone from the past who might have a better understanding of that. Oh, on top of that, you can also have an honorary member at another club. I know that according to district bylaws, like every club is entitled to one honorary member.
Okay, so I think that we have one more question, and then after that, we will be ending this webinar. So if someone could read that question, please.
All right, so I actually saw this this question earlier. How should my club go about encouraging members to start committees? So, is there anyone who actually wants to answer that question really quick?
Honestly, I think if you really want to encourage your members to start committees, the first thing you can definitely do is kind of have like a suggestion form of some kind. And this is where any member within your club can kind of like pitch ideas to the board of ideas they want to do. There's something like that. Or even if your board wants to, like, you have a event that you want to host anytime soon, and you don't necessarily like want to have someone on your board to chair that, you can definitely kind of open up applications for a member to chair the committee.
Okay, so I think that was our last question. So that is the end of our webinar. So thank you everyone so much for attending. If you have any other questions, because I know there might have been a few after we close the Q&A section. Or if you think of any questions later on, feel free to contact anyone from the Member Recognition Committee. All of our emails are on the slide, and they're also in the Facebook event. And you can also contact us through Facebook as well. So as I said earlier, to get credit for coming, make sure to sign in. This is the webinar sign-in form here. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming, and we wish you a good rest of your night. Be sure to fill in the sign form in the next few minutes because we will be closing it very soon. Thank you.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for future webinars. Thank you, everybody.